Welcome to the Mucked Up My Self-Care podcast.
I'm Jill from New York.
And I'm Linda from Tasmania.
We are two moms from opposite sides of the world who are living, demonstrating, and helping moms across the world build their self-care asset bank.
Ready to dive in? Messy, interrupted, imperfect, and most of all mucked up. Let's get going. Hello.
Hi, Linda.
Jill's a bit flat. We're going to try and pump her up today.
Okay.
Or tonight. Tonight.
Have
Tonight for you.
a discussion about self-care for someone who really needs some self-care today.
Yeah, exactly. Then hopefully good sleep on top of it.
Hoping a really good sleep.
Yep.
So,
let's start with highs and lows, and not lows and lows for you, just highs, and put a high in there too.
I think I can figure out a high.
All right.
All right. You want me to start us off? Let's do it. So, low. Oh my goodness. Where are we at? Just fatigue is just low. Fatigue. Only because my morning started out at 3:30 a.m. today. Just
Oh
nonstop
my gosh.
hard conversations, pressure of a board meeting, and then rolling into sticky note time weekend. So we had the hard conversations of things that need to be done, things that we need to focus on for sticky note time personally, some self-work that's gonna have to happen this weekend. And I'm just like drained.
It's a lot.
I think I actually was closing my eyes while at the stove cooking dinner tonight. So that was
Oh my gosh.
a new level of exhaustion for me, is sleeping while cooking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know those pictures of babies where you see them falling asleep in their dinner?
Yes.
It would be quite dangerous, I worry.
It was so nice because it's cold here, because it's like 17 degrees right now, it feels like. And that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I think it'd be lovely if it was Celsius at 17. But the heat from the stove top was just like so warm on my face, and I'm just getting there. I'm like, let's just rest our eyes. And then my sister would talk to me and wake me up, and I'm like, man, I was so close to really falling asleep. And I'm like, but I can't do it. I'm standing and I'm cooking.
I'm just getting nice and snug and warm and cozy, and then like the smells of dinner and yep. Oh dear.
My high. Declan has been super polite in asking to do things, and it breaks my heart to tell him no, because I'm just not up for doing it. Like today, he's like, last night he went on a date with his babysitter, because that's what they do, is they go out to dinner and stuff. And they went to go get donuts, and he asked me, Mommy, after karate, can we go get donuts and coffee? I was like, oh, that's really cute. Yes, maybe. Yeah, no, I can't. Like, can we go? He's been really sweet in asking those questions, and it just warms my heart. And I'm just like, oh, they're so sweet. These moments of him asking to do something, like he asked to go to the library this week, and it was just really sweet. So I'm like, okay, I will say yes as much as possible when you ask like that, to encourage that. Like, tell me what you want to do. Get excited about it, but ask nicely, and like all for it.
Yeah. And taking some, I guess, that next level of appreciating what he enjoys and what his self-care activities are, and what he feels like he might need, maybe some quiet at the library, or some reading of books, or things like that, like coffee, donuts.
Our library has this great player, and he does not sit still. He is bouncing off the library. Nothing different than home. I wish it was a quiet experience.
That's fabulous.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is becoming like a nice little self-care activity that we do. We're like, okay, let's get out of the house and we'll go spend some time there. I get to sit and be quiet and let him go. So it becomes a little bit of self-care for me, which is nice. But yeah, highs and lows for you, Linda.
For me, I've just been listening to the boys playing out on the coffee table, although you call it Uno.
Yes.
So we add our Aussie to that and say, So that's really sweet because Quinn's just learning the numbers and the colours, and he loves it when he gets a reversey card. He calls it reversey.
Oh, that's so cute.
And yeah, it's so sweet to watch him starting to engage and learn, and same sort of thing. He requests that because connection is a big part of how he has his own self-care and appreciates and values that, which is really good to witness as well. My low, I've spent a bit of time out of the house this week, and therefore the housework has been done to a degree. However, it's a bit like I think I talked about on the summit. You can fold a fitted sheet, but if it's not washed in the first place, it sort of defeats the purpose anyway. And so things might have been put away, but vacuuming hasn't been done. Mopping hasn't been done for weeks. Dinners haven't been done. Milk hasn't been got. Like there's just so many things that just have been looked past. And the boys have helped out a lot. However, they've helped out in their way, which is very different. So yeah, it's all different ways.
It's funny, we're at a milk too, and it's been like 2 days. Like, if he asks, we don't have it.
And Quinn has just come in and told me that he won. He won,
Yay.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, we have an Uno game. It's Uno Attack, and you push the button and it shoots the cards out at you. If it queues up, so you get it's almost there's another like a pie in a face game. I don't know if you've seen that one. Like you push a button, if it's not ready, it's not gonna happen to you, and then it's a game of chance. So Declan likes playing with them, but we haven't got to the actual like playing of the cards yet. So it's just the anticipation of a popping out like a jack in the box. When is it gonna happen?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's lots of fun to start that, because up until now we've had board games that have just had pieces that have gone missing or gone walking, or it just has not been practical and it still a lot of the time won't be for some things for a while. Yeah.
Papa's computer, Pop, Mama.
Okay, could you go and ask Josh to put on something for you, please?
And Teddy.
And Teddy. Don't forget Teddy. Teddy got dunked in the dog's water this morning, so I had to get the hairdryer out.
Nice. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's very, very funny. Anyway, today we're talking about Jim's top 5 self-care activities.
Yeah.
No, your top 5. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Maybe in no particular order.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think they
all
are
important.
really in a particular order, but do you want me to just rattle them off what my top 5 are, and then we'll go into them?
Sure, let's do that, and then maybe recap at the end.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. I came prepared. One is grounding, being outside, barefoot, grass, just walking around, grounding. Walking in general, usually without a child, is more self-care than with a child.
Yes.
Preferably even without a dog, because the dog is almost as bad as my child. going to church for our worships on Sunday mornings, date nights, which we have weekly, which I love, and my like one thing that's, I don't know, it's like my favorite thing to go do for myself that's like really me is getting my nails done. And I haven't done it in a while, but that has always been like just some people go get their hair done, they go get, I don't know. Maybe it's my nails. I love getting my nails done.
Yep. Mhm,
Those are my
mhm.
top 5.
Aha, wonderful. So let's talk about grounding and barefoot up outside. Obviously, there's not much grass that isn't covered by snow. Snow at the moment.
Which is so funny that this is coming up because even our, in the community, Kim, she just recommended watching this movie about grounding, where they call it earthing, because my period symptoms of getting to be so ridiculous that she's like, maybe you should try doing this. So I have to go watch this movie now, but I do it during the summer, and my favorite part to do it is the worst chore ever, but picking up the dog poop.
Yep. Mhm.
I will spend we don't have that big of a yard, but we have a big enough yard where it takes a while. But it's my favorite way to do the grounding and just walking around barefoot, picking up the dog poop. So I think at least during the winter, if there's no snow on the ground, I can still do that to get the vitamin D coming from the sun. I may not be barefoot in terribly cold weather, but that's still a possibility to get that vitamin D. So
Yeah. And do you remember doing a lot of that as a kid as well? Running around on the grass outside,
I
barefoot?
definitely spent a lot of time outside, but I don't know if I ever I don't even know if I look back and remember being barefoot a lot as a kid. I think more in my adult years, I've become more inclined to be barefoot.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm barefoot today, so I'm joining you.
I'm not a sock person, but I rather have very cold feet walking around the house in the middle of the winter than have socks on, but lately I've had socks on, so it's weird. So
Mhm. Yep.
as barefoot as possible, I will be.
Yes, indeed. A lot of our grass is really dry and brittle at the moment, so it's not actually that enjoyable to walk around on
Yeah.
some of that grass, but
Yeah.
there's other spots that I can
the,
appreciate and go to.
the dog's worn away a lot of our grass, so a lot of it's just dirt, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. Not quite the same, but still got that grounding sort of
Yep, I'm still
earthy
getting that
feel.
energy from the ground with or without the grass. Maybe I just need to make it muddy and I'll have a foot mud bath.
What about walking for you?
Oh,
What's so special for that self-care activity?
I think that has to do with we were talking on our episode about energy leaks, and that just encompasses some fitness to it. So it's just the movement that has me out, vitamin D, obviously. Just, I've become to like it in the colder months where not where it's freezing, but where you're feeling that cold air in your lungs and really having to consider your breathing and being in tune with that. I think that's what ends up being key for me to consider it self-care is actually setting myself up for a good walk, which is the right kind of playlist. So for me, that's going to be some kind of a worship playlist. So I can, the other part of it is, I obviously keep my eyes on the road, but there was this one pastor that I'd heard talking about keeping your eyes up towards God. And when you do that, things tend to be easier. It's an easier lift when your eyes are up instead of down. And I find that even walking that then straightens my posture, which then helps me breathe better. I have less pain in my back as I'm walking, and I'm I'm feeling more aligned in my body when I'm walking in that way. So it takes a lot of conscious effort to do that when you're walking now. So that's why I've been saying, like, without the dog and without the kid, my son, that I'm able to do that better, where I can have this real fresh breath of air come into my life for just 10 minutes and that's it.
Yeah. When's the last time you took a walk on your own?
2 weeks ago, last week. I think it was last Tuesday.
Yep.
From when we were recording this. So yeah, about a week or so ago.
Yeah. Excellent.
And then it got way too cold. And now it's just with snow on the ground, just too cold and will not walk.
Yeah.
It's gonna wait until the sun comes out again next week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you have it on your calendar as a regular thing that you try and do?
I do. I know. And I'm trying to delete it off the calendar when I don't do it. So I have it on there all the time to try to reach that goal. And now I'm taking it off if I don't do it. But and it's right after drop off with Declan. So I'll drop him off at school. I come home, get the dog, and we go for our 10-minute walk. And then it sets me up actually for a pretty good, like, on ramp into work sometimes. So it's nice.
Yeah. Very nice. Number 3 on your list is a fairly regular, I believe. Your church is a huge part of your faith and a big place in your self-care activities fairly regularly. Tell me more about that.
So church never used to feel like self-care. It used to feel like an obligation and having to go, and the things that I'd be involved in, like volunteering to sing, or what we called being usher, where we help seat people and welcome them. So it always used to feel a very big obligation because I was always someone to just say yes. That's just, nobody else is going to do it, so why wouldn't I do it? But it's become more of an enjoyment now, because one, watching Declan enjoy it just brightens my morning, unless he's just absolutely outrageous, which is frequently bouncing off the walls, running all over the place. But it brings peace to my morning when I'm there. And I don't know, being able to lead the worship in how we, because I'll sing for worship, so I get to lead us in song, which is not something I've done it for about a year now, and I think that's what's helped bring this to more of a self-care, because it's actually one of my favorite ways to worship is through song. So it's bringing that regularity to it without having a heavy lift of it, having to figure out how to do it. I think that's what makes it a good self-care practice for me, even if it becomes a little heavy on the things that I have to do around the service, whether someone had called in sick and they weren't able to read during the service, or somebody wasn't able to usher and I'm filling in. So I do a lot of that backup work, but even still through that, it's a delight to be in worship, which then brings me a fuller cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sounds like it's not necessarily something you need to do alone, or you need to carve out time for, because it's pretty much specific scheduled time each week. It's available.
It makes a delight lift on that, because I don't have to think twice about, well, when am I going to fit this into my schedule? It's already there. It's always on the calendar. I have a routine. So like the first Sunday of the month, I'm ushering, and the second and fourth Sunday of the month, I'm singing. The third Sunday is kind of like my day to just be there and not be responsible for anything, or take a break from it if I need to, because sometimes I'll just sit home and watch it on Facebook instead of going in. But it's also the one that has the most people involved, because I'm not alone with it. So not only am I having Declan with me, but we have friends there. So I am sharing that self-care with other people then, which we've talked about in past episodes too.
Mhm.
And I think that contributes to it, because you know how we can vibe off of other people's energy, and the energy
Yeah.
around church usually fills up our cups too. So
Good. It's a lot of
a lot
love.
of conversation going on, and just kids everywhere running. It's just a lovely time, I feel, each and every Sunday.
Yeah. Amazing. Which takes us on to number 4, date night.
And that's just the
Yay.
fun one. Like, why not find date night with your spouse such a good self-care? Sometimes it's definitely not, but I can't promise that every date night ends with fun. Sometimes
No.
there's a wrong
Yes.
turn somewhere, but
Yeah.
I'll say having the challenge of doing the A to Z date night was a great way to shake up our date nights and get us to
Yeah.
try a new and different things,
Amazing.
which I think was really fun.
Yeah.
But it keeps us being able to just get away from Declan as much as we can for the little time that we can. And still focus on our marriage and that connection. So
Yeah, the relationship maintenance and
yeah.
everything like that's so important
Mm-hmm.
especially in early years of child rearing and working out how each of you parent and parent differently or
Yeah.
those sort of things is, yes, there needs to
And
be something outside that.
yeah. Date night gives me an excuse to dress up sometimes, which I love doing. So if we plan something fun, I'll usually get all gussied up and be like, we're having a good night. So gives me that
Yeah.
opportunity more frequently than if we did
And
not
yeah,
have date nights.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
Helps me keep regularly showered too.
Oh,
Right?
fascinating, interesting. See, multiple uses for date night. It's like a self-care tree that has all the branches that go off. What do you think was one of your most memorable date nights? Let's just go with the A to Z. Z.
I
What
still
was
think hands down, axe throwing was my favorite out of all of the dates that we did.
yeah, awesome.
It was the most fun, mainly because I kicked Bobby's butt in it. Anything, I'm better at Bobby and I like.
Yeah.
I did not like the escape room that we did because I did not do well at that. I am not good at those kinds of puzzles.
Yeah. Yeah. I did an escape room with 4 boys, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And they were amazing. They all worked so
Wow.
well together. I just sort of stood back and watched a bit of the time, or maybe directed a little bit that way. But they did so well. We got out like with about 5-10 minutes to spare, and they figured out all the clues and working together, and just like, whoa, this is way better than I was expecting.
That's
I was happy to
awesome.
just lock them in the room, I guess, for an hour and see what happened. But
And for us, the complete opposite happened. I don't know if I've ever bickered as much as I did that night ever before.
yeah, I'm glad that you had the challenge of the
Yeah,
A to Z. Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And number 5, lucky last, is getting the nails done.
Yeah.
Why
You know
do you think?
why that is so like such a good self-care activity for me? I love my nails, and I guess it kind of goes along with the whole getting dressed up. My nails will just always be dressed up then, if for like however long I'm able to keep them done. But they're just always so like pretty, and then I can look down. Like it's such a girly thing. And I think it's one of the probably the girliest things that I allow myself to indulge in. And I think that just I don't know. There's something about it that just fills my cup. I have no idea. It's like a good 2 hours of alone time getting the process done. And I've been with my nail tech for however long that she's been doing this. Like, and I watched her go from like this inexperienced nail career to this flourishing. She went from sitting in someone else's salon in the back corner in a makeshift little spot to now owning her own studio with multiple techs in there now. And I'm just like so proud of her. And it just makes me feel so good to support her, which then she does an awesome job for me and helps me walk away with something that I love for this beautiful artwork on my nails. I'm just like, okay, we love this. This is great. And I just feel refreshed and good right after seeing her. And I think it's almost a year now that I haven't been to her to get my nails done, and I miss it so much. But it is an expense that I have to budget for and see, like, we can go a few months with having the process done, and then I'm like, okay, we gotta take a break and we'll come back. And so it will always be my backup self-care if I'm really, really struggling. I'm like, okay, let's go get my nails done.
Yeah, wow. I've only ever had it done professionally once in my whole life. It's interesting. I guess I haven't really thought of it as something that I could do or think to do. Yeah, so I might have to be inspired by your prompt and see if I can fit it into this year sometime. Yeah.
So like my relationship with my nail tech is like some people's relationship with their hairstylist. I think it comes down to that, like how much time are you spending in that chair where you're actually able to have a conversation with that person and really get to know them and stick with them. And that's what that's become. So I almost feel like it's just this, we're not exactly friends outside of that, but we do talk outside of it. And then we come together for that appointment, and it's just really just a very different experience that is refreshing. So yeah.
Amazing. So Jill's top five: grounding, walking, church, date night, and nails. Nails. Yep. This has been a great chat and a great recap. I hope that you come away feeling a little less flat and remembering how important those are to you and how you are fitting them in, even with low days and all that sort of stuff.
Going into the sticky note time weekend right after we're recording this kind of gives me the opportunity to tie in some of these of my top five, like grounding, walking, and church, into my weekend and see if that can help plug in some of those energy leaks this weekend. And yeah, so cool. Well, thanks so much for chatting with me about that, Linda. I can't wait to talk about your top five in the next episode, so stay tuned. And
we'll be back.
Until then,
we hope you can unstuck your muck.
Bye.